Welcome to this episode of Gustav Making Stuff. Today I'm going to do something very special because every time someone is visiting my workshop they see this book, or I show them to them, and it looks like this. It looks like the Necronomicon, and everybody's asking them, how did you do it? It looks so advanced, and it's absolutely not hard to do at all. So I will now do a new one of these, an updated version of it. And also, it's not gonna be the Evil Dead version of the book, but that book kind of falls in the same category as every other book that has been made in movies that are in the same style, like in Hocus Pocus when they have the eye on the book, and also the new Evil Dead, which I know about that, it's the same movie, just a reboot of it, and also in Harry Potter with the organic book, there's some few examples of them. So I will now show you how to make some kind of this category of book.
So what we're starting here with is actually taking this plastic cardboard I have there for some advertisement posters that I got for free. You can also use normal cardboard or something else that will fit, or even old book. So I'm just gonna cut this out, and this is roughly like an A4 sheet big, and I do some line, and I'm gonna take like the scissor and just make not cut them, but just make marks so they will fold up easier. And then we're gonna take some plastic pipe here and glue them on. I do have an excess of plastic pipes.
So this is what it looks like. What do you think, book? I'm looking so terrific today.
Yes, thank you, book. And now I'm going to sketch up a little roughly how I'm going to put all the stuff on the book with some arms, which I'm going to sacrifice from an action figure I have at home. Cock. Yes, then we are going to glue on these spacers here. And then we're going to take the action figure and cut his arm off, and blood is going to be shattered. Yes, just put them out there. Then we're going to take these zip ties. So I'm just going to mark here a little bit easy. Just easily punch them through and then do them around and loop them and pull them through. And then I'm going to take this marker and make a black mouth here because it's gonna be easier to do this because it's gonna be a black background, because I'm going to glue the teeth, which I'm going to make by this Actimel, which you can do by any other kind of white plastic food packaging that you have around your house. Just gonna cut up in some good shapes. This is gonna be the teeth, so they are good because they are slightly bented. Then we're gonna pour hot glue over them, so it's gonna be a seal that's gonna partially look like the flesh around the teeth. And then we're going to cut up the shapes of the eyes, so you can use this way to like build up any kind of face you want on the book, instead of using clay, because clay can like easily crack. This will be a little bit more flexible if you bend the book. It will be made out of hot glue. And so we're going to fill up with hot glue and do these little lines to make it look like it has been stretched in a really cool way, because the book from like Evil Dead 3 looks kind of interesting in that way. And also you can just flat them out there to make the the sides of the mouth, which I cannot really come up with a word for that right now. Anyway, so you see I'm building up the nose here. I'm going to cut it in a more rounded shape, but first I'm going to just reinforce it with all this hot glue. I use like 4 or 5 big sticks of hot glue for this entire book. So you see you can build up and like almost draw like a pencil with a hot glue. Also I do it on the mummy to keep the mummy arms, to keep the same theme going on. And now I'm going to cut the nose. And so we have the backside, which I will try to look like there is like this spine coming out of the back of the book. So I'm taking this bottom of the Actimel caps here, and I try to do this many times. So I cut there, because it's kind of uninteresting to see me cut up plastic bottles. And then we're going to take this pantyhose, which I have cut up, and just gonna glue that on. And as you see, I'm just going to just light there, wait a second for it to not be so incredibly hot, and then just push it down. This is a little bit tricky, so expect to fail when you do this. And as you see, there's a lot of stretching and correcting and so on. Also the edges, like they're going to be folded over the whole way, because it's going to look nicer. And now you see I'm just going to cut it there, so the face will not be having any of the pantyhose there. And then we're going to do the same process as we did on the front. We're doing these lines on the book. And as you see, I've almost shaped a banana in the background with Actimel jars. Yes, and then we're going to paint the whole thing just with a flat black color. Disco! Yes, and then we're gonna take some brown and red pie and just dry brush it the whole thing on. So it'll look like this. See, and while that dries, we are going to do the pages, which I'm going to use this one-time disposable tablecloth for partying, which actually is left over from my birthday parties. Just gonna cut them in like the sizes of your page you desires, and to do this you can actually just fold them over a flat cardboard piece. You see that? And then cut them so they all be the same size. And they should be like roughly the same because they're gonna look old and so. So I'm just gonna age the process here. Like take some tea and some coffee. And we're also going to use fake blood, which I have in this weird plastic bag for some reason. And then we're just gonna dip them down in the bathroom and put them up for drying. And I had to do like 200 pages of this, so it take a few days to do because I don't really have much space and cannot hang them outside because it's very, very cold because it's winter here. And the teeth are just gonna paint them a slightly bit of red so they have some character, and also the eyes are gonna be red. And then we're going to dry brush the whole thing with white. And we do that a layer of white. And then we're going to do a layer of grey, and the reason why we take the white first is because the white is not going to be prominent because it sticks out too much. We need to have this little bit more flattening down, but the white is still going to shine through a bit, so it will look good. So you see here, I take the rather dark grey and paint it. And I'm just gonna paint the inside black to take away the clear blue color there. And then you're supposed to put in the papers, but not. We are going to make another book instead. We are going to make the classical Evil Dead book because I find a way to do this with this waxed tablecloth that you can buy almost everywhere that they sell, like yes, whenever you can buy this, because it's like wax, so it has like these almost leathery surfaces which I can actually easily paint it. And this is actually my old that I had on the table, so it's very, very, very dirty and filled with colors and like glue and latex and everything, so it has like already been treated to look like old unintentionally. So since I'm changing this, so why not use it to build interesting projects? So you see you have it there, and now we're just gonna paint up the nose and the mouth so it looks almost like in Evil Dead. And this part is gonna be a little bit tricky because we're going to cut up the holes in the eyes, and then I'm going to take some scrap EVA foam and cut almost roughly the shape of it. Because I've seen people doing this with clay and it actually easily cracked up. So this is a very good technique because it's very, very durable. So you just push them in there, it's a bit tricky, and then you just glue it together. This might not show very well because my fingers are in front of the camera all the time, because this is very, very tricky to shot. And as you see, I have like built up the rough edges of the mouth there, and then cut off the there, and then cut off the there. So let's take the marker and paint it on the inside, and now we're going to use the staple gun here to make the stitching. You can also just stitch all the things together, but it will take much less time to just staple all the things together and then paint it. You will see the result later. It will actually look really good, but due to you will actually might have this on the back side, so we have to take some cardboard just to not injure yourself on the staplers there. And then we're going to take some brown paint that we had left from the other book we're also making a thing of. Just gonna slap that on. Paint it just with almost no effort at all, because if it shines through a bit, it will actually look like more like leather, because leather isn't just a constant color if it's getting really old. I have no idea how human flesh would look after a while, but well, this is more about the looks on this builds. And then we're going to take some black paint and just make the mouth and the eyes and then I'm realizing when I'm building this that it doesn't really look like the movie at all, because it has a more like a surprised look on its face, more than actually looking like you do in the movie. But anyway, you see I'm painting it a bit differently, so it will look like darker in some areas and lighter in some other areas. And now you see I'm taking the staplers here and just paint some black paint on them, so they will really look like stitching instead of staplers. And then we're going to take and attach the pages to the book. And as you see, I'm just taking some glue.
So, there we go. Here is the original book that I made several years ago. And then we have this one here. No, wait, sorry, it's now when it has been highlighted and fixed in all ways. And also it has a massive amount of pages, and you can also open it and read it and so on. So it looks really ancient and fun. And now it also built this one, which is the Necronomicon from Evil Dead, almost, because you can probably do a better job on a face, because he did more surprised, has more surprised look than scary look. But on the back side we have the 2011 movie Evil Dead, the replica book is there, and that actually looks pretty damn good, I must say. You can make it with this easy steps I show you. It looks pretty good. Okay. So now we've done that, go have fun with these things, make your own.